Coming up on this episode of the Spiro podcast.
If you feel as though out there that you need to hire camera experience over customer service, I think you've kind of missed the goal of our business. The goal of our business is to make life easier for the real estate agents through our media. And it's a very high stress transaction. You are coming into a very stressful situation for the homeowner and the agent. And we have found out that having better customer service is going to take you so much further because you can train the rest.
Welcome to the Spiro podcast, managing your real estate photography and videography business. With your hosts, Todd Kivimaki and Craig Magrum.
Hi, and welcome to the Spiro podcast, managing your real estate photography and videography business. Spiro is a software platform. It's developed by real estate photographers and videographers for real estate photographers and videographers, designed to help you manage and run your day-to-day business, but ultimately help you scale, become efficient, and really enjoy what you're doing. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Craig Magrum, and with me each and every week, of course, our founder and owner and co-host, partner in crime, all the other titles, Todd Kivimaki.
Good and bad,
Todd.
I'll take all those titles. Thank you all. It's just fabulous to be on here. You know, just a real quick side story. So we took a vacation and then my brother became very, very, like he had an incident, went to the hospital, almost died. And it's just, you know, as I think about all the things that I have taken for granted in my life, it's just that perspective that like I'm just trying to enjoy everything that I'm in. My brother's young, he's 56 and, he means the world to me, and to be that close, like out of the blue, it just puts a lot of perspective in our lives. So, be thankful for what you have out there, even the days, and I've been there with you all, the days that you're like, why did I do this? The pressure is incredible. I don't know how I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Find something to be thankful for. And I will admit, along with all of you, that there's some days that I don't want to, because I'm just too angry or too sad or too scared about my situation that I don't want to think about something good that's happened.
Wow.
I know I'm talking to a group of listeners right now that is in a very busy and pressure-filled time of your lives. But man, my brother, literally, he came into the hospital on a stretcher with a DOA sticker on the side of the stretcher because his blood pressure was 20/0.
Oh my gosh, Todd.
So yeah, just really put some perspective into your life.
You know, I think as a culture, especially here in the U.S., we are so driven for results and growth and being the absolute best. And there's just this ongoing pressure. And there's something to be said for contentedness that I think sometimes our culture looks down on as being lazy. And there's a difference between being lazy and being content with what you have. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be the biggest company. If the business is doing what you need and want it to do, and you have enough, it's okay to be okay with that. You know, I don't know. You're right. I hit 50 this year as my age, and I'm on the back half of my career, and I'm starting to look down the road, and what do I want out of life? What have I accomplished? Is what I've done important? Am I spending time on unimportant things? Is it all about money? Is it all about, fame? You get, the older you get, the deeper you look at things. And I think that's a good thing, that you slow down, take a little time out to kind of think on those things, meditate on those things, and decide what's really important in life. So
yeah,
I
agree. I've shared this quote before and I can't tell you who said it, but in life, when you're young, you'll give everything. You'll give all your time up for money. However, when you're old, you'll give all of your money up for time.
Yeah.
Wow, we got deep here in the first 3
We
minutes
did.
here, Craig, but
I mean, and we're going to dive into this. And it's funny of what we're talking about in light of what we're
yeah, it
commenting on
is.
right now. But this even goes to like gifts that I'm getting for my parents and my in-laws for things like Father's Day, and which is coming, or well, by the time this airs, it's already gone past. But I realized my dad and my mom, my in-laws, they basically have everything they need, and if they want something, they go out and buy it, right? So stuff, like I don't like getting them stuff anymore. And for both my dad and my father-in-law, the idea to take them to Top Golf popped into my head because they're both avid golfers, and
Mhm.
you and I, a big group of us got to get together at Top Golf in Las Vegas at the last
Yeah.
Rep conference, and that was my first time there. And I'm not a golf aficionado. I don't. It's a game I like to hate because, well, you do. I'm bad at it, but then you get that one good hit, and it's like, oh, that was amazing. And oh, I hate this game. Anyway, so I decided to surprise both my dad and my father-in-law with a trip to Top Golf down in Columbus, Ohio, and just spend the time with them. All right. It wasn't a physical object. It was the time. It was the experience. They both loved it. I took my youngest with us, and it was just our family guy time. And that will be one of my favorite things I've ever done gift wise. So think about, yeah, how can I spend more time with the people that I love and care about? Because that's important.
Yeah, that's great advice. A great thing to think about, Craig.
Yeah. Now, that being said, here's our topic for the week, Todd. 7 things I never do when scaling a media company. And scaling a media company takes a lot of time.
It does, and the goal of this podcast today is to give you not only a little bit more time back, but to give you some of that relief,
Mhm.
some of to take an edge off of the fear, the idea of how can I get this? This seems like an insurpassable obstacle.
Hmm.
So it's to take the left brain out of you scaling, and I've done all these things. So it's kind of fun to laugh at me today as well.
All right. Well, let's dive in.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Oh wait, no, 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 no. I'm sorry. You've got some Spiro announcements. I'm sorry. I was jumping the gun.
Oh, just some real quick ones, y'all. But
Yeah.
it's already launched. It's July. So happy 4th of July, 250 years for USA. So for those of you, hopefully you're enjoying this week. Now, just this is a side tip. This is just bonus content for you all. The 4th of July week in the US is always weird for the number of shoots. So if you are in the 4th of July week right now, or you're analyzing that week, please do not be alarmed because every year it's weird. It's
Right.
down. The years where I'm like, it's going to be down, it's up. And the years where I'm like, it's going to be a great week, it's terrible.
Yeah.
So please, it's an anomaly. When you look at July, look at all of July 2026 versus all of July 2025 if you have that data, if you started more than a year ago. Do not analyze it. It's too small of a segment to look at it day by day or week by week.
Hmm.
Okay, end bonus content.
Right.
I don't know why I'm hashtagging or I'm
Right.
writing code in the podcast, but
I
it's
was
just been
just thinking the HTML tags when you said that.
I've been in API MCP like crazy lately, and it's because we have launched by this time now our beta access for our API. Along with that, we also built an MCP server, which is we are the first booking platform to launch this MCP server. For those of you that are like, Todd, could you please speak in English? Yes.
Yes, please.
API is what developers use to build apps, to build dashboards. You're interacting with the code in a way that an engineer or someone who has engineering knowledge would know. You can't necessarily go to ChatGPT and say, hey, here's my API key. Can you figure this thing out for me? It's going to do a whole lot of technical things. It's going to run itself in a lot of little loops, and it's going to be difficult to use the tool of an API to say, hey, who's my best client? Okay. It's like needing a handsaw for trim because you have a little edge on it, and bringing the largest, like 12-inch power saw to try to take that edge off. Okay, it's not a fit, it's the wrong tool. The correct tool is what's called MCP. That's basically a translator. So, what that is in the case of trying to take an edge off of a piece of trim, what happens is when you talk to MCP, it says, hey, what I need to do is take this edge off. And the MCP server says, hey, you really just need this little finesse tool right here. Don't use 1,000 horsepower saw. You're going to ruin the trim. Okay. So we have spent the extra time, resources, et cetera, to build this MCP server because we anticipate many of you out there just want to go to AI and say, can you tell me this thing about my business? And then can you write a retention letter so that I can send to them?
Hmm.
It's crazy what it can do. And we're in beta right now, pending. Well, we'll go from June 23rd, probably for about 2 weeks of beta with a small group of users. And then we'll launch it to everyone. We'll give you training, how to's. We're right there with you. Steve from WoW, who has been using this with me, will help understand or help create these things. So we're not only going to give you the tools, but we'll support you with them. That's probably the biggest and the best thing. And that's where all this pressure of all of us going, am I using AI enough in my business?
Hmm.
And we're going to help guide you with that. And again, we're the first and the only to have this MCP layer so you can easily use an API to understand your business better.
Amazing stuff. That's exciting.
Yeah, super excited about that. Along with this update, we had a couple of other really cool things. I'll mention them quickly, then we'll get to the topic. Number one, you all told us like, hey, I'm really trying to maximize my shoots. And when I am available at 9 a.m. and my first appointment's booked at 9:45 a.m., I can't squeeze anything in between 9 and 9:45. I've wasted that time slot, that 45 minutes. And now we have some options for you inside of Spiro where you can say, hey, my new day, I have a new day. That new day has to begin at 9 a.m. or it has to end at the appropriate time working backwards. Say I'm done at 4 p.m. It would start to shoot at 3 p.m. So it would give 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. so that you're either filling a day from beginning to end or end to beginning. So you're maximizing your time blocks. The second thing we had is this is communication. I believe fully in communication of how it can take your business from one level to the next. And we're giving you the ability to at mention a user in Spiro. Say a call comes in and you need to at mention a team member on the order. You're already there. You just place the order. You're on the order overview page in the internal notes at Craig. Hey, can you please call this agent? Craig gets an email in his inbox. He also gets notified if he's logged into the system, but he gets that email in the inbox. He sees my comments. He can click to it. When he clicks my comment, he is taken to the exact spot where I left the comment. So order overview, property website editor, the two halves of the orders, and Craig can pick up right from there. He sees the order, he sees my comments, he can tag me back and say, yep, Todd, it's all done. And that's how we can communicate in real time with notifications.
Gotta love how things are being condensed and easy to use in one spot. That's awesome.
Hey, the idea of what Spiro means to breathe.
Right. Exactly. Good stuff. Exciting updates. Thank you, Todd.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Well, speaking of condensing and making things efficient and just good knowledge to have, again, this week's topic: the top 7 things we never do when scaling a media company. Todd, you want to dive in?
Yeah, so these are things that we've learned over the years, we've done over the years, and we've learned that there was a better way. And the goal, again, is to help you not make these mistakes or feel like you have a way to pivot out of these mistakes. So let's just jump right in here, Craig. Number one is I never hire for camera experience over customer service.
Love it. Very true.
Now it's very natural to say, hey, we are a media company and we do great media. We have these amazing, not only the photos, but the video, and it's very technical. And there's an art format of my media. Okay. If y'all can't sense, there's a little sarcasm in there. I think some of you are fabulous creators, but we are not changing the world with our media. Some of you might hate me for that, and I'm sorry. I love you enough to say that. But if you want to scale a business and you're not trying to be the world's best architectural photographer, okay, you can have all your artsy stuff in that because it's revolved around you. But
Mhm.
if you're trying to scale a media business, I would not depend on finding the most technical, creative, best eye photographer slash videographer for your media company.
Let me play devil's advocate just real quick, just a
Yeah.
potential pushback. What do you do though with the clients that, say you've been told you do have a good eye and you hire somebody that doesn't have as much experience and the client complains and says, "Well, they just don't have your eye." Because I have heard that before. So, how do we balance, say, personality and customer service versus the technical training of knowing how to compose the shot?
Yeah. There's a book called The Question Before the Question.
Okay.
So let me ask you the question before this photographer just doesn't have the eye that you have. The question is why does this photographer not have the eye you have?
Hmm.
I mean, that seems stupid, right? Even me saying that, I'm like, that's kind of a very silly question. But let's break it down a little bit. Remember, I think 2 weeks ago, we talked about remembering our first shoot and how bad it was. Okay. As much as you forget those moments, you did not have the eye
Yeah,
now that you had when you started.
true.
And now, naturally, what do we do? So, Craig, think back to when you started. Okay.
Hmm.
I remember having this conversation. You came into my house. We had a conversation in the little office off of the house, and we talked shop. We talked everything that day. It was a lot of fun. We had various conversations, but think about you went out and you actually got these shoots booked and you had a close individual that trusted you and kind of gave you that amount of shoots. And think about the times that you developed this eye, like how did that get developed over the years for you? And from start until you were seasoned at 3 months, 6 months, whatever it was.
Well, it was a combination of things. It was my own study, looking things up online on best real estate photography practices. It was training from Wow, things that I picked up from you, from your team. It was things that I picked up from agents as they gave feedback. You know, originally taking two walls instead of three. Verticals. Just simple concepts, things like that. And then as I grew, I started critiquing, especially my own stuff, going, man, I didn't. If I had zoomed in just a little bit more, I would have eliminated that distracting element on the edge of the frame, so that my focus was more on the space that I wanted to capture. So it's a combination of things, and yeah, it did take time.
So if you feel as though, and thank you for that, Craig, if you feel as though out there that you need to hire camera experience over customer service, I think you've kind of missed the goal of our business. The goal of our business is to make life easier for the real estate agents through our media. And it's a very high stress transaction.
Hmm.
You are coming into a very stressful situation for the homeowner and the agent. And we have found out that having better customer service is going to take you so much further because you can train the rest.
Right. Yeah. If you hire somebody that's seasoned and is kind of set in their ways, it can be harder to train them on your system. It's
Mhm.
it's the yeah, but I've never done it that way type thing, right?
Oh, so true, Craig. It's like, well, I wasn't trained that way. Or I didn't learn that way. Or why did, like, if you want everything questioned, and it's just, I think you're asking for that when you bring in a very seasoned person.
Yeah. Can I share a I think what's a relevant story that just happened last 2 weeks
Oh, it'd be great.
that I think is a perfect example of this. Okay, so we are interviewing a potential candidate to be another photographer in the market that I serve in. Uh, Graduate of a local university, did study cinematography, so they do have somewhat of a background in at least video, not necessarily real estate, but a wonderful personality. She's just a pleasant person to interact with. And she shadowed me to see what the work was all about just a couple of weeks ago. And we had a shoot one day for a client of mine that does a lot of high end homes and listings. And while I get along with her great, she can be very demanding and very particular,
Mhm.
and particular about who does her shoots. So this individual was shadowing with me. We did an agent on camera video. She interacted, the candidate that we're looking at interacted with the client as well. And by the end of the appointment, Todd, she had kind of walked off to her car, and I was still there with our client. And she said, "I like her vibe."
Oh, wow.
Now, this candidate didn't do anything in terms of shooting, but she helped me get the agent ready for the agent on camera video. Again, she was talking with her, interacting. She made a couple of suggestions that I asked her for. I was kind of testing to see what she might suggest, and she was spot on with the stuff. But when the agent, who again is very particular, said, "I like her vibe," I thought, I I want to hire her,
Mhm,
because knowing that this agent hasn't even seen her media, but liked how she interacted with her, it made a good experience for our client.
mhm.
Um, so it just goes to show that, yeah, customer service, taking care of the client, a great personality, being likable, super important.
Yeah, that's such a good example. I mean, we've learned over the years that your clients will overlook a mistake or two
Hmm.
if they really like you.
Yeah,
They will not critique it so hard. They're on your side. They won't, leave you over charging $20 more than anyone else. Like if you have the relationship, you hold the key.
yeah. If they know you're going to go to bat for them on making things right, if something did go wrong, they'll give you a lot of grace in most cases. In most cases.
Yeah.
So,
And as a final bullet point here, typically people who have good customer service, think about hiring. We find good luck with hiring bartenders or people who wait tables. They are a little bit easier to get than someone who has this like idea that they are a cinematographer. If you just think about like, do you want to hire a cinematographer or are you going to hire a waiter or waitress?
mm, customer service related, I'm thinking waiter or waitress.
All right. Point number two, Craig, is I never do the homework for a struggling employee.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
So when you grow your business, you begin to spin plates. Okay. So, the analogy of like spinning a plate on a rod.
Hmm.
You're going to spin a plate, get it going, and it's going to carry that momentum. And the goal is to then set up another plate spinning on a rod. And you're eventually going to have the first plate slow down by the time you're spinning the second, third plate. You have to go back, show some attention, spin the first plate, and you begin kind of this whack-a-mole idea of managing your business. It's during those times that we as business owners can assume that we should try to spin as many plates for everyone as possible because we are the best plate spinner.
Hmm.
So I had an example come up in a coaching call the other day, and it was this instance where they had a photographer and they were pretty much convinced that this individual was not going to work out. I don't think this person had been at the company very long. Let's call it a month. So 4 weeks into the job, and they just did not think that this person was going to work out. And they gave the example that as the owner, they have suggested and said, "Hey, it would be great if you could watch these videos of how to balance your gimbal and understand and be able to balance your gimbal."
Hmm.
And the owner is just like, he's just not doing it. Like, I just don't think he doesn't have any initiative.
Hmm.
And I've done this so many times over my career that it's just like, oh, like this is it. Your communication just needs to change a little bit. Okay. Telling your employee you think they should do something after they get done at home and not giving a directive, a due date is just a recipe for disaster
Hmm.
because all you're doing is giving a suggestion. Employees like, well, I already worked today. Like, do I clock in? Do I clock out? Like, I don't know. I watched the video. I don't really like the, you're just so ambiguous. You're too ambiguous in that request to your employee. So what I've learned over the years is that you always need to be very clear about what you want, how you want it, when you want it done by, and what you want back from them. So let me break this down. Let me just tell you the script that I told them to do. Just change up your verbiage to them a little bit to say, "Hey, every night this week, I want you to watch these 2 videos. And then I want you to spend time doing that and balancing your gimbal with the camera. Then, once you have the camera balanced, I want you to take 3 walking shots, much like we've done in the houses. I want you to take a long straight walking shot, a long arc, and then I want you to take a shot outside because that's a long straight walk because sometimes walking outside can be more difficult than inside, for example. And then when you're done taking those 3 clips, I want you to upload them to your computer. I want you to watch them, and I want you to grade yourself on the quality of your walking. Then when you're done with those, please upload those 3 clips to our Dropbox folder. Send an email to me telling me how you thought you did and link the 3 shots in your email so that I can review them. Please do this every night this week and have it sent to me by 10 p.m. and I will review it the next morning and I'll give you feedback before you do it again the next evening. Also, please make sure you're clocked in. I expect to pay you for this work. So make sure that you log these hours or the time from the beginning to the end. And I'm very confident that in 1 week, we can have you understand how to balance your gimbal and how to do good ninja walking.
I love that.
There's no ambiguity.
And you're letting them know, "I'm taking care of you. I'm paying you for this. I'm not trying to, you know, have you put in a time you're not being paid for."
Mhm.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
So please don't assume and please don't do the homework that don't assume that when you give a suggestion that it's a directive. And please don't make more work for yourself because you're just not being clear and concise and you feel bad about putting more work on people and then you become the pinch point. Just one quick note I want to make here is I did not ask the employee in my example to take 3 walking clips and send them to me. Why? Because what's going to happen is this employee is going to walk to Timbuktu. They're going to send me 30 minutes of walking clips. They're not going to watch them, so they don't know what they did. And then it's on me to watch their crap and hope they read my email the next day. I've done that way too many years, and that's how you get the sense of pressure on your shoulders because your email inbox, your Slack messages, your notifications fill up and you are just becoming this in-between secretary for everyone.
Hmm.
Please, these people work for you, put them to work, make life easier on yourself. And it's not even like they think about this differently. Like you might feel bad for giving the work. They are like, wow, look at what Todd wants me to do.
The way I'm thinking about it is it kind of related to my example of I started noticing things in my own media when I would look back at it. You're having them critique themselves, they're thinking more about their work, their art, whatever,
Mhm.
and it's giving them the start to a piece of ownership. Like I own the results of this video. If my videos or photos aren't getting better, I'm not going to have as many jobs because clients aren't going to want me. and I'm going to start to critique myself more than my supervisor might. And yeah, no, I like that approach.
Yeah.
That's good. All right, don't do their homework for them.
Craig, number 3, I never guess if an underperformer knows they are failing.
Okay, so I'm guessing there's a story behind this. When did something like this happen?
Yeah, like with tears in my eyes, yes, I failed at this one too. And I think
Tears
back,
of laughing or tears of oh my gosh, I can't believe.
I don't even know both. One eye
Okay,
of
all right,
each.
all right.
So, I think back to maybe 10 years ago, and
Mhm.
we had an individual in the office that, um, was doing our bookkeeping and some HR related tasks. And the way that a situation was handled, I was not happy with. And I remember speaking to my coach. I had a coach at the time, and I was just kind of like venting. I can't believe she did this and that. And like I wouldn't. And he kind of opened my eyes to understanding that she was really just protecting our company. And by the
Hmm,
end of this coaching call, I went, oh my goodness, I see how she actually did us a favor for this. And it wasn't this one little subset of my first initial knee jerk reaction of the situation. From there, what I learned is that I never would approach a situation where I felt like I needed to do some coaching with someone with the understanding that they have the same thinking as me. So what I'm saying here is that if you have a photographer that sometimes does good and sometimes does bad, are you on the same wavelength as them? How do they think they're doing? This is a question I always ask in these situations because you have to have this common ground. If you think they're doing terrible, but if they think they're doing fabulous, there's a problem there.
right.
And from there, you have to figure it out. If they think they're doing fabulous, maybe they don't know what fabulous looks like. Maybe they
Okay.
need this translator so that they can understand what good media is.
So what would be a say a practical way to address that? To help them understand the gap in between what they're doing and what's expected or needed.
Yeah, so let's say we're having this conversation, Craig, and you're like, "Hey, I've just been killing it. Like my stuff is like they're probably going to pick it up on Netflix pretty soon." And from my end, I just think there are some huge gaps where we actually probably we lost a client from one shoe, and we've had 3 other call-ins about fixing some media. Um, I am probably, and this is my first conversation with you on this. Okay, so
Mhm.
it gets different every conversation, but let's start at the first conversation. The moment that I ask you how you think your media is, and you say, "Hey, it's just great," I'm probably going to say, "Oh, like okay, so I'm going to have to just admit something. Like I've really failed here and spending enough time with you and showing you what our media is and then reviewing your media with you so that you can understand what you're doing versus what our standard is." So in this conversation, I'm happy to place it on me at the beginning. This is the first time, and honestly, it is my fault. It's my fault that you think you're great and I have 3 complaints about you.
Hmm.
And so, right, because those complaints have happened in the past. And if you, as the business owner, have not proactively and immediately, almost immediately shared them with your photographer, how do they know what's going on?
Right. How did they get better?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
remember when you trained. I'll go back to point number one. We all admitted we had terrible media or not
Mhm.
as quality of media as we have now when we begun. How do we get better? Well, we got better through looking at other items, but we got better through critique and feedback and talking to our clients.
Right.
If you withhold that from your photographers, how do they know what's going on? Like what's no news is good news, right, Craig? I mean, that's kind of the thing that people go, I haven't heard it. I assume I'm doing great.
Mhm. That's yeah, that's fair.
And then it's like I unfortunately have to raise my hand that we've done this 6 months after being hired. We come back and say, you've got some major issues. And they go, well, I've been doing this for 6 months.
And haven't heard anything.
You haven't heard anything. You're telling me now?
Yeah.
And then you've got old habits to break. You've got to get over them being upset, you being upset. Like, it's just a very difficult situation. It's a much more difficult situation to fix at month 6 than it is hour 6 after the phone call of the complaint. So ask your people how they think they're doing. It it will align you. It will give you common ground to speak on, and it will just make that conversation so much easier to hold.
You can do a side by side comparison. Okay, let's take a look at your photos. Let's take a look at what the standard is. Here's the differences. We want you to grow towards this. Teach them specific how to use, where to stand, how to frame it. Yeah, give them concrete things.
I can think of clients that have done that with us. I told the story. I tell this a lot, but of when we pointed down on every room, and I had an agent in Columbus, Jeremy, and thankfully he did. He's like, your stuff is like your walls are just not correct."
Hmm.
And he pulled up houses of his current photographer showing me. It took me more than that conversation. Like, I went back and I talked to Ryan and Derek. I'm like, "Hey, this is what he said." Like, I don't, and we're like, "No, we love like pointing down on rooms." Like, it took me days after he told me to go, "Oh, wait a minute. I think this might be wrong. We should probably change what we're doing."
It it can kind of be a pride issue a little bit, can it, Todd?
Oh my goodness, for sure, Craig. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, our egos don't want to admit when we're wrong.
Yeah.
So
It it
yeah,
it is. And honestly, at the same time, I'd like to make the point that, like, if you feel like there's this pride in your employees, I want you to be careful assuming that that's always bad. Sometimes pride is just that they want to do good,
yeah,
and
that's fair.
they don't know any different. Like, I would argue sometimes that that's actually good, that they have pride in their work because they just want to please you and the client.
Good stuff. All right. So don't ever guess if an underperformer knows that they're underperforming.
Yeah, for sure.
Got it. All right. Point 4.
Yeah, it's I never train the art of photography.
Okay. You can't train art anyway though, can you? You can train well, see, I've always said this field seems to be both an art and a science.
Craig, I think you hit the nail on the head. And actually, I'd like to argue for this conversation that it's more science than art.
Okay.
So what this ties into point number one. We've talked a little bit about this, but the idea is that we all can get this idea that what we do is just this natural, inherent
Hmm.
skill that we were born with. Okay. Now remember, they train brain surgeons. Okay.
Okay.
I'm stealing that from the person who mentioned this in this call. I think Eli said it, Jared. Somebody said it, but that's not my saying. But remember, y'all, they train brain surgeons. So you do not have to be born with this natural, inherent eye of real estate photography. I mean, think about this for 1 second. Think about like the idea of all the skills that a human being is born with. And like sometimes in our heads, we think that like we have this God given skill of real estate photography.
It's
Like, all right, a little bit of a tangent here, but let me reel this back in.
a gift. It's a gift from on high.
Yes. I mean, they're probably gonna have like industry awards that were given out, like Emmys or whatever they call them for real estate photography. But okay, I digress.
Yeah.
So there is no art to real estate photography.
Oh, you're gonna stir things up there. Comment section below if you're watching on YouTube. You can email us hello@spiro.media.
Yeah, direct it to Todd. They'll send it to me.
There we go.
Okay. We for a period of time at Wow struggled with the art of shooting a bathroom. We could not find enough skilled people that were born with the natural inherent skill of the art of shooting a bathroom, especially half bathrooms. They were the most difficult.
I have such a bad pun in my mind right now. Go ahead.
Please give it. I can't not hear it, Craig.
It was a really crappy situation, Todd.
It was.
Just I'm
It
sorry.
was.
I could help it. A lot of you are groaning right now. I'm sorry. It's Friday when we record this. My brain's fried. Thank you,
Oh,
Todd. Go ahead. Go ahead. All right, let's get
okay.
back
So
this
back
on
to the
track.
crappy
Right.
situation of
Right.
finding people with the inherent eye of the skill of the art of shooting a bathroom. We started to break it down and we'd look at bathroom shots that were acceptable
Mhm.
and we'd look at shots that were not acceptable. And we go, what's different here? And we began to break it down step by step. Okay. A skill or the art of something is really just a step by step procedure. And then the step by step procedure, you begin to master that. And then you begin doing it by not even thinking. Okay. That's when we fool ourselves and we think we have this art or this skill, but we forgot that it's really just doing steps 1 through 7. So what we began to do is we began to break down, okay, why is this photo bad? Oh, well, it shows too much of the door frame. Like I can see the strike plate or the lock air, like, ooh, and at the side of the frame, everything gets expanded, right, y'all? And so it looks a lot bigger than it is. So we can't, okay, the door frame's a problem here. Okay. Okay. Well, wait a minute. We don't actually see all of the pieces of the bathroom. Well, what's the problem? Well, the door is hinged, is halfway closed or, 20% closed. If that door was all the way open, we could actually see and we would not have the line of the door block the tile in the shower.
Mhm.
Okay. What's wrong with this photo? Oh, well, the sink looks like it's not actually even a sink. Like we can't see the sink bowl or the concavity of the sink. Like I laugh at this word concavity because we actually use this in our training. This word means nothing. I don't know if anybody ever uses this word. Maybe if you're going to the moon, but we actually use this as a phrase at WoW. Like you can't see the concavity of the sink in that photo. And somebody goes, "Oh, yeah, let me go up a little higher." And then what you do when you create that training is you give a 7-step series of how someone can now do the art or have the artful eye of shooting a bathroom. And at the same time, you've given yourself a training script because all you have to do if your photographer comes back and they are too low and they're shooting at that vanity, all you have to do is say concavity and they go, oh crap, the concavity. And everybody knows what it means, but it's the weirdest word ever, but it works for your business because you've taken the time
Right.
to actually say what something is and align with your team on some verbiage.
It's using science to create art.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
And I think if you think about the most artful people ever, like they just inherently have it in their right brain. That's where like the right brain is the very fast moving brain. The left brain is the very technical brain that overthinks everything. Well, if you can't cross the line from right brain to left brain and explain what you're doing, think of some of the most acclaimed artists in all of history. Like probably if you could translate what they did in those paintings or those sculptures in a step-by-step basis, you could probably do it too. But
Hmm.
they just, they're so advanced in their right brain that they can't even explain what they're doing. But somewhere in there are step-by-step guides of what everybody's doing who is an artist.
I can't wait to see the comments on this. I feel like some of us are gonna try and defend the inherent art, and that's not to say there is a natural like my youngest sister, she's a graphic designer by trade. I can't do what she does, but I
Mhm.
can't do what she does because I have no training in it. And even though she might have a natural inclination towards it, there's still a process to it.
100%.
Yeah.
I love each and every one of you, but you and I are not that special.
Oh, you're special, all right, Todd.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm glad I have a boss like Todd. If for some reason you don't see me on the podcast next week, folks, you know what happened. Sorry. I'm in a weird mood on this Friday. Where okay, so anyway, these are the topic. If you're just tuning in, you can always go backwards. But the top 7 things that we don't do when scaling a media company: we don't train the art of photography.
Because there is no art of photography.
Right.
Kill me, y'all.
All
Please
right.
do. I'd love to talk about this.
Number 5. Let's move on before we bury ourselves here.
Okay, I never make knee-jerk price cuts for the wrong clients.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's good. I think that's gotten easier the older I've gotten, Todd.
Are you getting more grumpy?
I don't know, is grumpy the right word? Maybe I'm valuing myself more.
Ooh, I like that, Craig. No, that's good.
That's not to be big-headed, honest. But when you've done something long enough and you know you're doing a good job and you're serving people well, you learn the types of clients that value you and the types of clients that don't.
Mhm.
So I don't want to jump to your points here. Go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
let's impromptu, and you're gonna hate this, Craig, but let's
Oh
do a
no.
role play here for a second.
No, I hate role play.
Yeah, we're gonna do this for sure.
Well, after I took the shot at Todd that I did, I suppose this is what I get.
And in this role play, you have to use the word concavity back to me. Just
I'll,
kidding. This will be an
I
easy
love words. I'll try.
this will be an easy one, Craig.
Okay.
Don't sweat it.
All right.
Okay, we're gonna take Craig day 90 of his business and Craig of today. Okay, so day 90, you get some feedback from a client
Mhm.
who says, Craig, thank you for what you've done, but I can save money with our in-house people and I'm going to save 25 bucks a shoot. And, I'm just going to use them from now on.
Mm.
What feelings came up thinking back to just that phase of your business?
Panic. First thing, I'm going to lose a client, and I've only got 20 clients to begin with.
Mhm,
And that's going to make a huge impact on my bottom line. I can't afford to lose this client.
mhm. So how did you react? What did you say in that response to the client?
Jeez. Uh, I don't remember real life, but let's, for the sake of the scenario, let's say, you know what? I can match that price. I want to keep your business. I value you as a customer. I I can match that price. Not a problem.
You got the client, you moved on, and then you lowered the value of
Mhm.
yourself and your product. And that client probably texted you back 3 months from then and said, hey, I need 20 more dollars off.
Yeah.
It's just this vicious
The
cycle,
cycle.
yeah,
Yeah.
racing to the bottom.
But Craig, today, how would I react to that?
Mhm.
Again, this isn't to try and be full of myself or big headed, but I'm at capacity with clients as it is. And I've been at it long enough that I know I take really good care of my clients. If I do happen to make a mistake, I make good on it. But generally speaking, the images I produce, along with the editing team, are good images. And I have clients that are wanting more time for longer appointments because they're adding services. And I'm looking for clients that aren't just looking for bottom line, and getting the cheapest that they can, but building a relationship with clients that will profit me more and benefit them more because I'm offering them more services.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes you got to let go of clients that aren't giving you. How do I say it, Todd? You know what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, for sure, and they have to value what you bring, and
Right.
sometimes they don't have a need for all the value you have,
Yes. Yes.
or they value something more heavily than what you value, and it's just not in alignment. And and in those cases, when we try to change our value and say, "Yes, I'll my value of being the cheapest, I'll align with you on that," we compromise our core values and who we are.
Hmm.
Now, let me just make a quick clarification here because there are times, and I want to be transparent, that some of our clients have approached us and we have ended up making an adjustment in pricing for them
But based on what?
based on the level of client that they are. Typically, say you have a client come in and is like, "Hey, I need to save 20 bucks," and they do 3 shoots with you a year.
Yeah.
Are Yeah, I'm so sorry. We'd love to be your backup. We have great new things, the video, yada, yada, yada. Remember, you told me these things. If a client comes in that does 100, and it's typically after the first of the year before tax time. Why? Because they've now looked at their budget.
Mhm.
And if they're doing 100 with you and say you have a $400 AOV, that's $40,000 they spent with you. Like, you're one of their top line items and they're going to review it. And they'll shop around, and every business does this. You all do this, right? You go get a quote, you talk to 2 or 3 people and you weigh price, value, turnaround time, things like that, quality of work. And they come to you, and I can think of a client in particular that we had worked with for a very long time, probably 8 years, does a lot with us, probably did over 100 with his team, and got a quote from a competitor and said, "Hey, I love you guys, but I've got to get this number down a little bit. Like, I'm spending 50K a year with you guys. Like, I need a little bit because I'm growing my business, and that savings will allow me to do X, Y, or Z." And when that person comes in, we always have a meeting with them to align, to understand. Because I can tell you my knee-jerk reaction when this quote came in, I was like, "We could never do that product for that price." Like, the competitor completely undercut us, knew what we charged, undercut it just to get the business. We had to have a conversation or 2 with the client. We understood it was the example was we were doing Matterport photo video drone for this client. And what we were doing for this client, we were doing Matterport with the Matterport big camera. Okay. Takes time to spin around. Only a couple of our photographers have it.
Mhm.
We were doing drone, like photo video, a ton more drone than what they needed. He had come back and we realized that the competitor quoted for a Matterport, what we call light. So the little theta camera that takes much less time on site. Like, we saw the samples that the competitor sent our client. We're like, wait a minute, this is not the good
It's not
camera.
the same.
Yeah. And he's like, I don't care. I just want the Matterport name so I can link it in these places. We're like, okay, great. We'll get the theta. We'll spend 60% less time on site. And everybody's got those cameras already. So it's easier to distribute. And then we went, well, wait a minute. There's only literally a front and back drone photo here, like no video, no multiple angles, no locations. He's like, oh, that's all I need. I just need a front and back because this is the post we're doing on social media. So we adapted what we did for the client, and we did it because he did 100 and some, and he was at a growing business. But the thing here is we aligned with the same communication. We weren't quoting apples versus oranges. Those are the times where you have good clients that have been with you 7 years, that spend a lot of money with you. They come to you because they're asking a favor. And I think it's okay for clients to ask a favor to you after they spend a lot of money and are good clients for years on hand.
Hmm, that's good. You you gotta ask the questions and dig a little deeper
Mhm.
because
Yeah,
that'll create the opportunities for you to keep that client.
sure will.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good stuff. All right, moving this along. Point number 6, the top 7 things we never do when scaling a real estate company. What's item 6 here, Todd?
Yeah, I never let a fast sale cancellation kill a video shoot.
Okay, meaning when the house is selling already and, "Oh, I don't need these photos."
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
This was an
yeah.
example brought up, by, an individual on a coaching call, and he gave this example. He's like, "Hey, just remember this happened to me," and this was great insight, but basically the agent calls in and is like, "Hey, I need to cancel my shoot for Tuesday. I've got 12 showings on the property, like, it's gonna sell probably
Right.
the minute, like, we'll have 6 contracts, like, I don't need it." And in that case, he saved the shoot because he helped educate the client to the purpose of his media. In a case, and think back, I think back to like COVID days when everything moved so fast and
Mm,
around that
yeah.
time. there was 12, 20, 30 offers on a house in hour 4.
That was insane.
It was crazy. And you did not need an agent did not need any of our media to sell the house. But that's too tunnel visioned. The situation's actually larger than selling the house. We're not trying to sell the house. We're trying to sell you as a real estate agent.
Mhm.
And there is this saying in the industry of like having listing babies. Agents use this. Like the goal is that every listing you get leads to 5 more listings because neighbors drive by, they see your signs in the yard, you have a listing on the, all the MLS feeds and everywhere out there. So people see that you have a listing and they think, hey, look at the price of that house. Maybe I could sell mine. Oh, we worked with this person 7 years ago. We should call them to see what the value is of our house. And what this individual did on the phone is he just helped them understand that they could tweak the content slightly to talk about like, hey, this house is for sale. Oh, no, wait a minute. This house sold. We got 12 offers or had 12 showings in 4 hours. And the agent actually sold themselves and their services. And the agent went, oh, yeah, let's keep that because I can't not have that content because I want to get 5 more listings off of this sale.
Something as creative is, an agent on camera video where, yeah, they set it up that they're going to introduce the property like all the videos do. But I think offline we were talking an effect like a record scratch where it just, the needle skips, scratch. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, actually, this already sold. I can help you sell your type of
Mhm.
messaging.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you just go to the fear of missing out, FOMO.
Mhm.
It's a beautiful pivot on that script of like, oh, wait a minute, you missed this one, but don't miss the next, or I can help you get into your dream house.
Mhm. That's good.
Love that.
Okay. Last point, number 7.
Number
Top
7.
things we don't do when scaling a real estate media business.
Yeah, I never avoid the elephant in the room, especially with a top client.
Okay. Direct conversation. Okay, so what's the trap in that?
Yeah, let me take you back probably 6 years. Top agent in one of our markets did, again, probably 100 shoots with us a year and did a lot of media. We see that she has a listing from that we didn't do. Okay, so we immediately look at it, we send it to each other like, "Oh, she's got," we all critique it and look like, "Oh, it is kind of a good video." We do this like, "What's going on?" kind of thing. And in my head, I go, "Oh, crap, we're gonna lose this agent. It's 100 shoots times she's spending X amount of dollars with us. This world's gonna end. I should probably shut down my business." And the thing that I loved is it was either Chris or Steve at the time. They go, "Oh, let me call her right now." Like, "What? We can't You're gonna call her?" Like, like that's what our left brain does. Where it's just like, wait a minute, she's worked with us for a lot of years. We've done hundreds and hundreds of shoots. We're probably just not aligned with what she wants. Called, talked to the assistant, set an appointment with her. Completely open, told us what her new goals are, where she wants to stand out, how she wants to leverage social media. We understood what she wanted to do. She happened to be approached by another photographer, and it was kind of like perfect timing where she had this idea for social media. They happened to have this quicker, bite-sized piece of video, and they offered to do it on their next listing.
Hmm.
You know, and that's just where the left brain needs to calm down to go to those clients, ask them the questions. They will tell you. They really will. They will share. You all know agents. The stuff they share with us is like, you just told me that.
I feel like a priest in a confessional sometimes when I'm on a shoot and they're telling me, I'm like, I have this ethical standard. I can't share this with anybody, but you're confiding in me.
Oh, I love that.
Sorry. Anyway.
I almost want like the next podcast to be the top 5 things Craig couldn't tell that was told to him by an agent.
I'd be breaking my ethics though.
Yeah, that's true. We would have to disguise the the names and the situations to protect the parties
Right.
involved.
You might
Yeah.
even have to black me out, change my voice, you know?
I get some different lighting.
All right.
Uh,
Anyway.
so
Okay.
this goes back to we did a podcast, and this was like one of our like we got a really good response on this podcast, but it's the idea of having confrontational or difficult conversations. Naturally, as human beings, we don't go, "Hey, I really am looking forward to having this awkward conversation with a client."
It's awkward the first time you have to do it. You're scared to death because you don't know what they're gonna say. You're assuming the worst. But I honestly, Todd, I've found it again as I've gotten older. I guess it's still never easy. There's still always an element of awkwardness, but I've gotten to the point where I've built enough of a relationship with that client that I can have the honest conversation and ask the question, "Hey, congrats on your new listing. You know, I saw it on Facebook. I know I didn't shoot it. You know, is there anything that we could have done to have served you better to have done that listing for you?" And I've never had them clam up and not tell me that it has always led to a productive discussion. And it might be something as simple as you weren't available and it was a fast, I needed it fast. So I had to go to somebody else. It's like, I understand that. Okay. Thank you. And they usually reassure me, Craig, wow, is there are people. Don't worry. It's just it was a one off. You know, it could be something as simple as that.
Yeah, for sure. And then that makes you feel so much better.
Yeah.
Left brain calms down. And I think one thing inherently that you just do during these conversations that relates really well, Craig, just inherently, you are naturally this, but you honestly want the best and want to serve your clients for the best of what it is. And as much as you might not like if they choose to go to someone else, if that's better for them,
Hmm.
and you can give that through your conversation that you just want what's best for them, they will understand that,
Yeah.
they will sense it, and it will work out. You might not keep the client, but in the end, it will work out. They might refer people to you. You might not just work for them, but they might refer people to you.
Yeah, when you can approach a relationship with like that, honestly, you know, in business, and truly want the best, it's not just a manipulation tactic. The real you might lose the business, but you maintain the relationship. And if they know you're being genuine and trying to continue to serve them, they're going to assume the best about you, and you might earn that business back. Their new provider might drop the ball and not serve them well, not be genuine, and they'll say, you know, I had it pretty good when I was with you, the listener, and they come back to you. Don't, and I've had a couple of clients that wandered and came back. Yeah, good stuff. All right. Don't be afraid to address the elephant in the room. And as Todd has always said, you eat an elephant one bite at a time.
That's I like that. That's a good one.
Yeah,
Lots of new t-shirts here today.
right. Elephant themed. Anyway, Todd, thank you.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for tuning in with us. If you have a question, let us know. hello@spiro.media. Make a comment below. Hey, please disagree with me. I'd love to have an open and honest conversation. And, that's how we all move further along, and always
Right.
happy to learn new things.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you. We appreciate your time as we're in the midst of busy season here. And as we always remind you, make sure, even in the midst of busy season, take a couple of moments a day, couple of moments a week, whatever. Be thankful for the blessings in your life, even when you're in that bad mood. I've been there, I get it. And take a breath. Have a great week.
Thank you for joining us for the Spiro podcast, Managing Your Real Estate Photography and Videography Business. This is a production of Spiro and Wow Video Tours. You can find out more about Spiro's real estate media business management software at our website, spiro.media.